It's a new dawn, it's a new day, society is continuing to collapse, and today we're going to be talking about parkour in video games. So, without further ado, make sure to hit like, and if you're new here, hit subscribe, and let's just jump into it. Throughout this channel's existence, a lot of my content has been focused on Assassin's Creed, one of my favourite game franchises of all time. And if you know anything about Assassin's Creed, you know that one of its most unique gameplay elements is the focus on movement that was carried over from the Prince of Persia games that Assassin's Creed spawned from. The Assassin's Creed parkour system is an element of the series that really drew me to the games. The way Ubisoft utilised closely packed historical streets allowed for some genuinely incredible experiences that no one could ever really replicate, despite many on YouTube trying to. Freerunning and movement in general seems to be a kind of underrated, but at the same time vital part of any gaming experience. A game could have a mediocre story, mediocre content, but if it has a genuinely in-depth and engaging movement system, you can spend hours upon end making your way around the world, trying to find different little sections of the map that utilise the movement systems to perfection. The most recent example of this, of course, is Spider-Man PS4, as Insomniac Games brought far and away the best web swinging mechanic of all time, and carried over their success from Sunset Overdrive, another game near solely focused on the movement and momentum. Of course, the games I've mentioned so far, despite having fantastic movement systems, aren't solely focused on them. Some might say you need a great story, you need other gameplay mechanics, and that's where I disagree. And it only really takes a glance at EA's Instagram comment section to know why. The skate franchise and the skateboarding genre in general is one of the most beloved sections of the gaming industry. Even if you have no interest in skateboarding itself, you've more than likely played and enjoyed some kind of skating game in your life. Whether it be the arcadey, momentum-based Tony Hawk Pro Skater, or the more grounded but no less enjoyable skate franchise. These games are successful not just for the culture surrounding them, but the near limitless possibilities of how they can be played. Whether it's the set content, free roaming around the world, mastering a specific trick, or launching yourself off a skyscraper, it provides so much variety that you can feed hours into them without really doing much actual content. And here is where my idea for just a dream game comes in. After the success of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater franchise, companies began attempting to transition to other niche extreme sports, whether it be BMXing or snowboarding, but none of them really ever stuck. These tie-in franchises, however, never delved into one of the most exciting and accessible sports on earth. They never tried to bring parkour to the center of the gaming world. Parkour, or as it's more commonly known, freerunning, is a training discipline turned sport developed originally in France and Western Europe in the late 20th century. A style of movement based entirely around the utilization of the body to get from A to B as quickly as possible, regardless of any obstacles in the way. Over the years, the once very niche training style was made famous, largely due to the growth of the internet, through video montages from the likes of David Bell and Timothy Champion. The style was further boosted by the rapid success of Assassin's Creed, which inspired many to look more into how they could leap their way through the city streets. And with recent descendant sports, whether it be Ninja Warrior or competitive tag tournaments, the sports climbed from relative obscurity to a fairly commonly known discipline. Of course, the most famous implementation of parkour into a game outside of Assassin's Creed, of course, is Mirror's Edge, a first-person game designed entirely around leaping across rooftops. But despite the unique style of Mirror's Edge and its sequel, I always found it very scripted, very rigid, lacking the variety along with the excitement that the titles of Skate, Spider-Man PS4 and Assassin's Creed provided. Surprisingly, the game that inspired me the most, both to try and take up freerunning and to create this video, is a mini-clip flash game from about 10 years ago, known just as Freerunning. In my early years, I'd spent hours upon hours playing this game, a game that was fairly simple, with basic jumping and vault mechanics. But the way the linear levels provided so many options for movement, as well as the simplistic fun of the game, allowed me to really get engaged in it. That one Flash game, along with a mobile game called Vector, which provided the same concept but was designed very differently, provided the entire inspiration for what my ideal game would be. Because my dream game, my ideal game, would essentially be that Flash freerunning game made 15 years ago, upgraded to the standards of today. A third-person open-world game, potentially set in a fictional city packed intensely close together, based purely around a finely detailed, in-depth, momentum-based parkour movement system. Of course, the game could have a story. It'd be filled to the brim with parkour challenges, but the keys to the game's success would be having a world without the rigid specific parkour systems of Mirror's Edge. A world where no matter what the obstacle is, the player can find a way to get past it using only their body. This would be somewhat a successor to the free movement of the skating genre, getting fully rid of any equipment and just leaving the player to slowly progress their skills through a mixture of becoming aware of the city, aware of the momentum system, as well as through a progression system built around learning new moves, new ways to vault, improving the specificity of their jumps, and creating a connection between themselves and the world. Another major part of this game would also be a creation studio, similar to the creation studio in Skate 3, in which the player can create their own parkour runs down to a T, which would allow for a genuine community to be built around the game as people attempt to create the most stylistic runs, or create challenges for one another, or hit the longest jumps. Of course, I am by no means a game designer, and I know next to nothing about coding, so the practicality of creating such an in-depth movement system might not be possible. But this game is really just, in my opinion, the ideal way to maximize the potential of movement within games, bringing back the game style of the skating genre, incorporating elements of the momentum of Spider-Man PS4, and creating a successor to the innovation of Assassin's Creed and Mirror's Edge. And just generally creating what to me would be one of the most fun games of all time. Realistically, games can be great without great movement systems. Look at The Last of Us, for example. Hell, look at any walking simulator. But when a dev studio can truly hit the perfect balance of style and utility, when they can hit the mark of making movement fun, engaging, and challenging, it can bring any game up to another level. Oftentimes, it can entirely save a game from being just mediocre. It can be the cherry on top that convinces someone to buy a game. It can be the key to people spending hours getting lost in some fantastic world. It may seem niche, it may seem minor, it may seem unimportant, but to me, whether it's skating, whether it's parkour, whether it's web swinging, nothing quite gets a game moving like a great movement system. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this video, it'd really help me out if you could hit like, and if you're new here and want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you are in the need of a good drinking game, just rewatch this video and drink every time that I say the word movement. With that being said, I read every single comment, so feel free to comment down below. Tell me if you like my idea for the game, tell me what you think of movement systems in general. Are there any that I missed that I really should have included in this video? Anyways, I've been Joe, aka Scarab, and I'll see you in the next one.